In this lecture example, we look at section 9HA and section 25. So this is when death takes place. So Mr. A passed away on the 31st of August 20x5, and at the time of his death he owned the following assets. Okay, now guys, remember, you get the taxpayer, who is a person who will be passing away, deceased, and then you get the deceased estate. They are two separate taxpayers, remember that. The taxpayer on death is deemed to sell all assets at market value, and I'm just going to write here, except if it goes to a spouse. It's treated as if it sells all the market value to the deceased estate. So the deceased estate is deemed to have purchased at market value, and then if it goes to a beneficiary, then your proceeds, well, let me actually start like this. The base cost equals the market value then. Why? Because we purchased it at market value. The proceeds equals the base cost, so which equals market value. So that makes that so that there's a null capital gain. Right? That's if it goes to the beneficiary. If it goes, if sold to a third party, the rule is the base cost equals the market value. Why? Because we purchased it at market value. And the proceeds equals the selling price. So these rules that is discussed here are the same ones that you see over here. And we'll see it now reapplied. So, situation A. Calculate the taxable capital gain for Mr. A and for the deceased estate. If, so remember also guys in the exam, they can ask you for Mr. A or the deceased estate. You need to know which one and how to answer them. Don't get confused. Right, so they ask you, what happens if all the assets were sold by the executor in the course of winding up the estate, and this is what he sold it for? Okay, so the first thing I want you to understand is when we are looking at the taxpayer is just going to be selling everything at market value. So let's do that first. So Mr. A, this is when he died. On that date, this is what he sold everything for. Okay, so let's go through it. So the house, 5.2 million rands. So the proceeds for the house is 5.2 million rands. The base cost, they tell you, is 1.2 million rands. Right? They then tell you that he used it as a home for his family. So there will be a primary residence exclusion of 2 million rands. So the capital gain that he will be taxed on is 2 million rands. This is just for Mr. A. Okay, just for Mr. A. Not the deceased estate yet. Okay, still looking just at Mr. A. So again, theory, what does the Mr. A do? Sell everything at market value. Next one is the car. Is his personal vehicle, cost him 380,000 rands. Guys, that car is a personal use asset, so there will be no CGT. Furniture is the next one, 320,000 rands, also personal use asset. Right, so let's just do those two first. Car and furniture, personal use, personal use. Right, then there's a boat, note number 4. The boat is 15 meters in length. So if it's longer than 10 meters, it cannot be a personal use asset. Right, so the proceeds for the boat is the market value, 400,000, and the base cost is 300,000. So it's 100,000 rands capital gain. There you go. And then the last thing is cash, 850,000. Guys, there's no CGT on cash. All right, so now pay attention. We're still looking at Mr. A. So we add all of the CGT up. Make sure you see the annual exclusion is 300,000 rands because of death. Right, everything else is the same. Now we are going to look at it for the deceased estate. So, they say to you that the executor sold everything in the deceased estate. Okay, so, if the executor sold it, we are looking at this rule on our slide that says the proceeds is the selling price and the base cost is the market value at death. Why is the base cost market value at death? Because remember, the taxpayer was treated as if he sold it to the deceased estate at market value. So the deceased estate is treated as if it had a deemed purchase at market value. Okay, so see now, we're doing it for the deceased estate. So this house for the deceased estate. Proceeds is the actual selling price, 5.5 million rands. Base cost is the market value on the date of death, 5.2 million rands. Right, that's a 300,000 rands capital gain. So if I take it down to the deceased estate, there we go, 300,000. Then the deceased estate sold the car and the furniture. Now guys, if it was personal use asset in the hands of the taxpayer, it's still considered personal use asset. The boat was sold for 450,000, and we know that the boat is not a personal use asset. So proceeds, 450,000. And what is the base cost for the boat? The market value on the date of death, 400,000. Okay, so, and then the cash, obviously nothing on the cash. So there we go. So guys, pay attention. You add everything up. There's an annual exclusion. See, the deceased estate still gets that, right? But look at the annual exclusion. It's 40,000. It's not 300,000 ever. It's just a deceased taxpayer, right? And 40%. There we go. Alright, so that was part A. Now they ask you in part B, what happens if it's transferred to Mr. A's son 6 months later? Now, what is the rule? The rule says it's transferred to the beneficiary. The base cost is the market value at the date of death, and the proceeds is also the market value at the date of death. Okay, so the first thing I want you to understand is still two parts. There's the taxpayer and the deceased estate. The first thing that you need to know is the taxpayer is still going to do 100% the same. So if I take it down to part B, Mr. A, please note, if you go and look, all of this is exactly the same for Mr. A. So the taxpayer is always treated the same as if the taxpayer sold it at market value. But look now for the deceased estate. Look at the difference and compare it to the previous one. Everything that goes to the child, the beneficiary, is treated as if it was sold for the same amount as its base cost. So if the base cost is 5.2, then the proceeds is 5.2. If the base cost is 400,000, then the proceeds is 400,000. So you can see, if it goes to the beneficiary, there's no capital gain calculated. And the reason for this is the beneficiary, if the beneficiary sells it later, will have to calculate the capital gain. And then see what happens if all of the assets were transferred to Mr. A's wife. So this is a little bit of a different one. If it is transferred to the wife, look at Mr. A, right? We're comparing to Mr. A. Then whatever the base cost is, the proceeds is equal to it. Whatever the base cost is, the proceeds is equal to it. So there's no gain. Remember guys, this works the same as section 9HB. It's the same principle that applies. Our next example, very quickly, just illustrates the concept of section 25 for the deceased estate. All that I want you to see here guys is when you receive amounts, so after you've died and the estate receives amounts, the deceased will receive those amounts and be taxed on it. But there are a couple of things that you need to be aware of. So if the deceased estate receives interest, it does not qualify for the section 10(1)(I) interest exemption. Refer to your slides as well where I mentioned this. This is not in the Act, but this is what our practice is. But it qualifies for all the other exemptions. Right, then just also note, when you calculate the tax payable for the deceased estate, it does not get the section 6 rebates at all. And this is all I just wanted you to see as well for section 25.